Welcome back to another episode of This Week in ZA, the podcast where we dive into the world of software engineering over a slice of pizza. I'm Kodad, here with my co-host Chad on the other side, and every week we sit down with a guest from the industry to talk about culture, projects, and everything in between while enjoying some good food. Today's guest is Brian Ardinger, the Director of Innovation at Nelnet and the host of the Inside Outside Innovation podcast. Today we're eating the garbage can pizza. Where's trash can? Garbage can?
Garbage can.
Garbage can pizza from Ramos to continue the episode of this season. The toppings are TBD. I think we're going to get into that in that segment. So stick around to hear some great insights, share a laugh or two, and maybe get a little bit hungry. Let's dig in.
Excellent.
Excellent. This is an interesting looking pizza. Yeah, we start eating and I ask you questions that make it difficult for you to answer or to eat.
Good.
First question we always kind of like to ask is kind of what is your biggest mistake or maybe funniest mistake you've made in the industry?
I watched a couple episodes ahead of time, and I was trying to think through what that might be. And along the pizza theme, I started my entrepreneurial adventures in 8th grade, selling pizza to my friends at school. And
wow, that's pretty.
what I learned, first of all, my mom would buy us these little frozen pizzas for me and my brother. And we'd cook pizza every day. We'd cut it into pieces and take it to school and eat it. Okay. And then we found out, hey, other people want our lunch. It's like, well, we can make some money at this. So we started as one pizza, and we cut it out, and then we started making 2 pizzas, 3 pizzas. And my mom was like, you are growing boys, but you are eating a ton of pizza. What's going on here? So the business got shut down, and I think my biggest learning from all that is you've got to have the partners involved, and I should have given her a bigger cut. So, but there we go.
Yeah, the 0% of that's going to work against someone.
Yeah.
But it was good. Let's see. Good pizza.
Yeah. So what's your kind of initial thoughts on pizza on this one?
Pizza is one of my obviously favorite foods.
Yes, many of us. I eat a lot of it.
Especially in the tech world, it meets all the criteria you need for feeding a large number of people. It's good hot, it's good cold.
It stays warm quite well for quite a while because it stays in the boxes for, it's not like some foods where you bring it somewhere.
You can customize it. Yeah. So, pretty good. This one, I love the crust.
Yep.
The crust is very good. I'm not a fan of olives, so I took mine off. I picked one that had very few olives. And I've tried olives. Like every couple of years, it's like I'll try it again, but never quite. I love olive oil, but olives themselves.
We're in the same boat.
All right, so. But this one's got looks like maybe some hamburger, some pepperoni, some peppers of some sort.
Is that pineapple on there too?
Oh yeah.
Yep, we got pineapple.
It's a garbage can. Everything you want on it.
I've never ordered a garbage can pizza for anywhere, so I don't have like a reference. It's pretty good. Again, I always agree. The crust, Ramos has one of the better crusts around, so I'm always happy with that. The toppings are good. It doesn't have really a theme to it.
Right.
Like a unifying
Each
theme.
bite is a little different.
Yeah.
It really is different every bite. I had a piece with bacon, I had a piece of jalapeno, a piece of pineapple. Like, it's been all over the place. Is there cream cheese on this?
No,
I don't believe so.
not in my piece.
I haven't had cream cheese.
That's a garbage can plus.
Yeah. You have the extra for that one. Do you know our rating system? We're going to make you rate it first.
I don't remember it, but go ahead.
Okay. Roughly, it's 1 and 2, it's usually not good enough to finish, or you don't even want to eat any of it. You get to the 4, 5s, it's fine. It's acceptable with pizza, right? 6, 7, 8, you're starting to get into the really good range. And then 9, 10 is usually that area where you're going to keep eating until you hate yourself. Team no leftovers kind of quality of pizza.
Well, I'm halfway done already. You're already done with yours.
I'm a fast eater. Small kids, they're during that phase, they got fast.
I really do love Ramos Pizza. Of the Ramos pizzas, this is a little lower on the list, but I'd still give it a 7 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go. I agree on, of the Ramoses we've had, it's on the lower, it's probably going to be maybe even the lowest of the Ramos pizzas we've had. I think last time we had the taco, is that right?
Oh,
We did.
That was really good.
It was really good.
The Ramos barbecue was really good.
Yep. Do you even remember which one you didn't like?
No, I'm sure.
They have a cream cheese one.
Yeah. I like cream cheese.
Pepperoni
though.
cream
Yeah.
cheese.
The pepperoni cream cheese is great.
Yeah.
The barbecue cream cheese is better.
I'd probably give this about a 6. It's very good. I can eat it. I don't know if I love the every bite is a new experience
Yeah.
on a pizza. I kind of love like this is what this pizza is. This one couldn't make up its mind and just threw
Yeah.
everything. Hence garbage can. The name's perfect.
Yep.
But and again, crust
You
is
like
always
variety?
Great. Yeah.
This is my good one.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, it's the olives. It'd be better without the olives for sure, but it is kind of just a spattering. It's giving me just like a really good Supreme kind of vibe.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not really unique in what it's doing, but it is still Ramos pizza.
Yeah.
The crust is still excellent. Sauce is fantastic. The balance overall is still pretty good with all the flavors going on, as ridiculous as that might be with 100 flavors. I think I'm going to go like a 6.8.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it is probably the lowest of the Ramos that I've tried, just because olives. Take out the olives. I think there's mushrooms hiding in there somewhere too.
Yeah, I think there probably is.
Yeah, take those out. It's probably like a mid-7 or so for me. It's good, but not amazing.
If I had to guess, I would like their Supreme better than this.
Probably just more consistent.
More consistent flavors.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad we did it.
yeah, I'm glad it has one of the best names for a pizza. I
I think
will
there's
remember
chicken
this
on there
one.
too. Chicken
Yeah,
on some.
I've had chicken and bacon and ham
Ham.
and
Yeah.
it's all been in there.
Yeah, I wonder if they.
All right,
Well, I guess cream cheese is the only thing we know not
it's
in.
missing.
Well, unless we just haven't found a bite of it yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Or blending it with everything else so much.
Yeah.
Now, Chad, you did give the Philly a 5.
Okay, the Philly was worse.
So you've rated this higher than the Philly.
Philly was their worst pizza.
Would you
Yeah.
drop it to a 5 instead of a 6?
What?
This one?
No.
This is better.
This is better than the Philly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Philly's
sorry,
worse.
sorry, yeah.
I gotcha.
This is better than the Philly. I was like the only one of their pizzas where I was like, even their good crust wasn't enough to make up for the Philly.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Have you gone through all of them?
We're getting close.
We're getting close. We're at least trying to get through all like their named, like I think they call it on the menu, signature pizzas.
Yeah.
Um,
This might have been the last signature pizza.
It could be. We have to be close.
Yeah, there's like the canes, the highlighted ones I think we've all had.
Yeah. Could be close.
Yeah.
See?
See?
All right.
More
See?
pizza?
Grab your next piece, Bruss.
I gotta take the first one. My topping slid off, so I just got the bottom. So that's minus half a point for me.
It is a hard one to eat too because of how much stuff is on it. I kind of feel it. It's kind of like pulling off like that.
Onions and peppers on there too. I don't know if they're like grilled or sauteed
Yeah.
or something. There's something going on with them.
Where's your favorite pizza from? Off the.
I think I'm more of a fan of New York pizza.
Okay.
In New York, there's a couple
Okay.
places I like to go. I don't know the names of them. I kind of know where they're at
Good.
when I go there, but
You can get there by
Right.
reference, but not name.
um,
So here in town, if you're getting a Lincoln pizza,
I do like Ramos
Oh, Ramos.
quite a bit. Trying to think what else. If I want like an old school pan pizza, what's the new one out? Is it Vic's?
yeah, Vic's is pretty good. I like
Vic's
that.
is
But that reminds me of the old traditional Pizza Hut pan pizza.
Yeah.
That's actually built in that crusty pan kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's always good, but it's always like a bellyache afterward.
You're really committing with that one.
Yeah.
It's a commitment.
And then, I don't know, I'll eat pizza in all various forms. The other one, Yaya's, as a switch up
Yeah.
to a more thinner crust kind of option.
Yeah.
I like Yaya's. Yaya's and Luzari's, I think. Special place in my heart. Just
All right.
All right, Brian. So we haven't talked about innovation, but you've got innovation in a title and an
Multiple
innovation
times,
podcast. So I've got a 2-part question for you. First one's going to be an easy one. If you had to define innovation in an easy way, easy to digest way for maybe even a newbie in the industry, how would you do that? Then the second part of it is, how would you say that an individual could encourage an approach and kind of boost innovation in their day-to-day job
Yeah.
in the software industry? Like, what can an individual do to actually push innovation?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that first question, because I think whenever I talk about innovation, that's usually the first thing I do is get everybody level set on what is innovation.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people immediately jump to, I got to come up with the next flying car, or Twitter, or something along those lines, where there's big, massive invention or something from nothing. That's one side of innovation. The way I define innovation is much more, how do we democratize it so that everybody can participate in innovation?
Sure.
So the way I look at it is, innovation is taking an idea, your nugget, your kind of core piece of understanding of something, and saying, how can I create something real from that idea that adds value or creates value?
Okay.
And that's something very specific that anybody in any job can say, hey, I'm running into this problem every day. That's the idea, that's the hunch. If I solve this, I can create some value from it. So in my mind, that's innovation. It's being able to take your ideas, conceptualize it, take action on it, and then create some kind of positive outcome from it. So,
Okay.
So once we level set on that, then again, it opens up the conversation for folks to be innovators.
Right.
Like, again, you don't have to be the lunatic in the garage coming up with everything yourself. You can be anybody who can say, I can make a difference, I can make an impact. And so how does a person do that? One, I think, change your mindset and realize that you can have an impact in whatever job you're in or whatever task you're working on. You can add some innovation mindset to that. And then secondly, I think the biggest thing is, I think most people are idea people, and they just think about ideas, but they don't take the critical step from the idea to make it an innovation. Is you have to take action on that. You've got to try something, you got to make something, you got to build something to move it to the next level, and then actually create that value. And I think that's the place where a lot of people struggle, is because most of the time, most people are not in a space where they're allowed to, necessarily take action on things, like because of what they've been taught before or the system that they're in. That's why corporates are not very good at innovation a lot of times, is because they've developed a business model and a system that is designed to execute on that model.
Right.
And how do you incrementally move that thing forward, and to think about something different or to upend that it is detrimental to what we've built.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times that's where it makes it hard for folks to do that, because you've built everything around that optimization and execution versus exploration. And that's where innovation sits.
Yeah.
So, I like the value idea of that, because I think if you explain it that way and just you're doing something that adds value, you're solving that problem, adding value, I think you could have any developer turn to that peer next to them and explain, hey, that problem that we keep struggling with, I found a different way to approach that. Can you help me evaluate that? Now we're adding value by not having to fight that fight every time. So
I think it also allows you then, again, to take more incremental steps along the way. Because I think a lot of people think, well, I've got to have it all figured out before I can make that first step.
right.
So one of the things, I have a book out called Accelerated, and one of the things I talk about is this 1, 2, 3, 4 methodology. And the idea is you have 1 minute, 2 hours, 3 days, 4 weeks. And this is kind of a arbitrary kind of timeline, but spend 1 minute a day kind of categorizing the ideas that you come across, the problems you have, and make a 1 minute list of potential innovations. Over time, some of those ideas are going to keep coming to you in the shower, or keep running into them every day. It's like, well, maybe that's a signal that I should take that 1 minute idea and take it and make the next bet. And the next bet is 2 hours. And in 2 hours, maybe I'm going to, flesh out that idea a little bit more. I'm going to write down, who's the customer, what's the problem, what am I thinking about with this idea, and share that with somebody, over pizza, and say, hey, this thing keeps coming up in my daily life. Do you have the same problem? Have you seen this? Is anybody else working on this? And you just kind of take that 2 hours to kind of take that idea and say, work on it, research it, do a little bit of noodling on it. After the end of the 2 hours, you say, hey, do I have enough evidence or idea that I should put some more time, money, resources into it? And then if you say yes, you take 3 days, and maybe 3 days you go out and you do some customer discovery calls, or you talk to some other folks, or you do some additional research. You do the same thing after 3 days and say, how far are we? Is this still something that is worth putting the next minor small bet on? and maybe it's 4 weeks, so that's when you spin up a prototype or something like that. But the idea is not specifically the times or the stage breaks. It's more about the thinking through, looking for evidence at each level, and saying, how can I build on that, and is it worth continuing to pursue that? And so it's a lot of it's based on what I learned in the venture capital space, where that's kind of the model for startups. Yep. They get their friends and family, and they got their nugget of an idea. They start moving it along. They get other people involved. They start building something. They start getting feedback from the marketplace, and some of those ideas die. Most of them die, but you can move that forward without having to say, here's my big idea, here's the plan around it, here's everything, I need $5 million to make this work. It's like, well, start at step one and move it forward.
One thing I liked about your kind of description of that is this notion of these little incremental bets. You're like, and maybe killing them.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming if you do something on 2 hours, you're like, that was a horrible.
Yeah, or 500 people are doing that, so I can just buy that particular solution already, or it's
a
not
little
big
bit
enough.
of research, it might be like, this. Or you maybe do that 2 hours and you're like, yeah, this is a great idea. But to do this, it's like a $50 million project. I mean, you can just kind of quickly kind of narrow it down to, well, it is a great idea, but it would require a ton of capital, or I don't know, just a nice chance to kind of, and also that notion of taking a little bit of time continually thinking what would have been good today.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty easy. We all do this every single day of our jobs. We get very focused on what we're doing during that day, but we never look out, from whatever battles we're fighting. We're in the battle, and we don't ever take the moment to think, what would have made this battle better today?
What I also like about the methodology is it democratizes innovation. So you don't have to have approval from your boss to do a 1 minute idea or a 2 hour idea. It's like literally you're talking to your friends, you're figuring out, is this idea worth pursuing? And you start building that evidence over time and over incremental bets, such that maybe at 4 weeks you can go back and say, hey, I need a little bit more time, resources or something, but here's what I've gotten ahead of time to show that. Right. And then you have a little bit of a better case to make from that perspective.
No, that's cool. But, and the book was...
It's called Accelerated,
Accelerated.
Out on Amazon.
Go to Amazon. We'll include a link in the show notes.
Oh, yeah. Good idea. Do you find that between each stage that's kind of the right time to potentially bring more people along with you on that journey, or in stage as well? Or?
I think that's another mistake that a lot of people make when they think about innovative ideas. They keep it close to the chest because they don't want to show their baby and see that their baby's ugly. And I think it's much more important, and that's why at that 2 hour mark even, that's when you not only kind of flesh it out, but you start sharing that idea.
Okay.
So you start getting some feedback and because what I've found is the entrepreneurs that are more open with those ideas, the faster they can learn, the faster they can find other people that can help them move that idea forward. And so getting into the habit of asking for help or asking for insights, obviously asking your customers what they actually want is a critical component to it.
Yeah. Cool. I like that. I'm going to check out the book. Should get a couple copies for the office.
Yeah, please do.
Unless we already do we?
There may be a copy on our shelf, but I'll talk about it.
Yeah, very cool.
Cool. And will be included in show notes.
Yeah.
All right. Scene? Next commercial? Actually, we don't have commercials. I don't know why I said that, but we need commercials.
Well, pizza place would be the first place to look.
I know. We have talked about trying to get a sponsorship. We have not.
I think we just need to find out who to send the YouTube channel to. Just be like, we've been eating your pizza for months.
There we go.
Yeah. Can we put something in between the breaks on it or something?
Yeah. It's free advertising. Although at this point, no one can say we're getting advertisement. We're
It's true.
Yeah, we're independent.
Unbiased pizza review.
Unbiased pizza reviews. There we go. When you move to cheeseburgers, then you can do that.
Yeah. Cheeseburgers. As you think kind of through your career, because you've kind of done quite a few different things. I guess I didn't realize you were selling pizza in the 8th grade. I wouldn't have included that in the list, but that was fairly creative. Probably could have made good money there. You just would have kept your mom getting some of the money. What have been some of the big lessons you've learned on that way? You've obviously that one with making sure everybody was kind of involved and could win. But you've done quite a few different things. Has there been some common themes or some common things you've learned through that over the years?
I think For me, I've had a very kind of eclectic career. I kind of started after I got my MBA at Penn State. I bought a one-way ticket and flew to Hong Kong and started knocking on doors and got connected with Gartner. And I was one of 2 consultants to build out the consulting practice in Asia. And through that, I was kind of in a lone island out in the middle of a big continent, and we get these requests from Microsoft or IBM or HP to do different reports or research in the region. And through that, I learned the importance of learning fast and being open to not having all the answers and reaching out and trying to figure out how do you triangulate these things and
Being comfortable.
being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Obviously, living overseas in an area you're not familiar with is a constant learning environment, and then working in that particular environment taught me a lot about self-sufficiency. It taught me a lot about creativity. Taught me a lot about being willing to build things. I think that's something that I think is a lot of times overlooked when I go talk to classes or things like that. You know, I talk to students about you got to get out there and build stuff and do stuff. That is what differentiates you from most everybody else out there. You know, don't wait for somebody to tell you here's the next task or here's the next thing. You know, guess at what the next task is and then go out and do it.
That's interesting. One thing I always tell people, like when we're trying to get that first job for people, it's just be building anything.
Yeah.
You know, it could be, software world, any random GitHub project that you want to create, even if it's completely stupid, and it probably will be, but as long as you want to do it and you're building something, you're going to be learning something from that process, and it's really valuable for them.
I think a lot on the flip side to just building is, I think a lot of people, especially once they start learning the talents of building, they immediately start building and overbuilding.
That's true.
And so keeping the balance between what am I building, why am I building it, and making sure that you're getting the real feedback from the market or from whatever to make sure you're on this right track, because it's very easy to go off track to build the wrong thing for the wrong time and that. So.
But you kind of started, you went to, you graduated Penn State and you just thought, I'm just going to get a ticket to Asia?
Yeah,
did you get a one-way?
I did. I bought a one-way ticket.
Okay. I've never purchased a one-way
I had been
ticket.
over to Hong Kong before in China on a vacation to travel around a little bit, and that was my first overseas trip. First time I kind of saw that region. This was early, mid-'90s. And that opened my world to a lot of things. I was like, I've got to get back over here and spend some time. So I went and got my MBA specifically with the purpose of like studying over here and then flying back and working there. So it was a path that I chose to do. When I got over there, spent a couple years in Hong Kong, but doing work all over Asia. Then they transferred me to Silicon Valley office, and I quickly found out doing consulting in Portland wasn't as fun as doing consulting in the Philippines. And so I took a break. A good buddy of mine who I've known since first grade, we both quit our jobs and we developed a project called Quest 4. And this is a project where we bought a Jeep Grand Cherokee and we traveled around the United States to interview people about success in America and how did they get on their paths. And this was before blogging. This is before most of the internet stuff was just getting built.
Yeah, how were you even hosting it back then?
So we had a website and we wrote HTML every night, and we'd interview somebody during the day and type it up and find a Burger King with a dial-up line and upload it into the system. Wow. Built a referral network of emails and that, so we had a little newsletter that went out, and then we said we're going to this next city. Who should we talk to? Who should we interview? We did that for a year.
Can you
I don't know if the archive's still there. You can probably find it in the web archive. Webback Machine.
What was it called?
Quest-4. Yeah. So we spent a year on the road interviewing people and uploading all that stuff. My friend subsequently wrote a book about it, and I ended up back in Nebraska.
How'd you end up in Nebraska then?
So I moved to Nebraska in high school. And I got my undergrad at UNO.
Okay.
So I've been in Nebraska. I moved back after the Quest. Got a job as economic development director for Sarpy County. Okay. Helped bring PayPal here.
That's a big win.
That was I was there only a short 18 months, but that was a big win. And then I got a chance to go back over to Asia during Internet 1.0 with the division of China.com. We were building kind of the AOL of China.
Oh. Okay.
And
Did you send out a lot of CDs?
no, there were no CDs. I was on the side.
I don't think you can call it the AOL.
Exactly.
Because that's really
That's
what
fair enough.
AOL did,
Yeah.
was ship CDs to people.
My side of the business was a division called Ion Global, and we were building out the infrastructure. So our clients were HSBC Bank and Cathay Pacific, building out internet websites when it was $5 million
Yeah.
to build a website.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we had Accenture kind of consultants on our team
Yeah.
that built out the
Web
core
content.
infrastructure
Yeah, yeah.
stuff, and I was in charge of the research team. So I built the first usability lab in Asia that was dedicated to these things called internet and mobile and stuff. And so spent a lot of time watching how people and customers interact with this new technology. Built that up, rode the dot-com bubble up, rode the dot-com bubble down. 9/11 happened, and then by 2002 we moved back to Lincoln, where my wife's from.
Okay.
I got connected with NanoNation, which
Yeah.
is a software company here in Nebraska. I was chief marketing officer there for 10 years, helped build that company up. Made some great contacts and worked with some great companies like Harley Davidson and Royal Caribbean. And
We were talking Royal
Build a
earlier
Bear,
before
yeah.
this ad was on
Yeah.
Royal recently. Yeah.
and then after that 10-year stint, I wanted to get back into startups. So I actually left for a position at the university in New Tech Ventures, which is the tech transfer arm. I think the original idea was to find some technology within the university and spin it out. But I said, at the time, this was the inflection of Y Combinator had come out, Techstars had come out, and we started to see pockets of this startup thing happen.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of companies, Huddle had just started,
Yeah.
there was a couple, obviously Nebraska
Yeah.
Global, and the idea of like, well, how can we amplify this? Is there an opportunity to create something like this in Nebraska? So I said the project I want to do is create the first accelerator in Nebraska, focused on these early stage companies. The university said, we'll pay your salary, but you got to figure out everything else. So I went out and raised a little mini angel fund, started building a network of mentors and connections around the local and the regional ecosystem, and then started investing in early stage companies. So some of the companies that came through InMotion at the very early stages were Quantified Ag, Noble, Realm 5, Live By. The experiment worked such that raised the second fund, and then I stepped away to do more corporate innovation work because I kept getting asked by corporations about how do we do this thing called innovation and how do I get connected to the startup ecosystem. So I did that for a number of years. And then Nelnet, 7 years ago, my 7-year birthday was yesterday at Nelnet.
Oh,
and
wow. Congratulations.
Mike Dunlap and Chuck Norris, they were the first investors in the original InMotion fund, and I'd been working with them for a while, and they asked if I'd come on board and help with the Nelnet hybrid holding company. And so I've been doing that for 7 years, in addition to the stuff I do kind of on the side.
Yeah. Well, very cool. So do you speak Chinese then?
No,
All that
I
time
learned
there?
a little bit of Cantonese, a little bit of Mandarin, but not enough to
Ni hao,
to-
Chai
yeah,
Shan,
exactly,
that's- yeah.
exactly like that.
That's
But
what
yeah,
I
most
know.
of my customers were like Microsoft or IBM, and they were multinationals, and everybody spoke English.
English, so
around
it didn't
that,
really.
yeah.
A little off topic there, but did you enjoy living there? You mentioned you
Yeah, I
really liked
loved
the
it.
Philippines.
I got to literally go everywhere in Asia, but Hong Kong is a great base
Okay.
to be able to go and
Yeah.
travel and see different things. A great mixing, melting pot of British culture. I was there prior to the handover and then after the handover as well. And then it's just a great community. There's a lot of expats. There's a lot of
Yeah,
things going
it's-
on. I would say now, I mean, that was 25 years ago. Now Singapore is probably that space
Okay,
you
okay.
want to be. But, with China coming in, and it's a little bit more, it's not quite the trading hub it was before.
I
Still-
could see that.
Still there, but
Yeah.
not as prominent as it was before.
Yeah, that'd been kind of fun. I guess I assumed you maybe had some.
I wish, no, but it's a hard language to learn.
Yes, yeah. Years ago when I was in college, I knew a lot of Chinese students, and a few times would try to help teach me. And at some point, they tried to teach me the numbers, and I swear to you, two of the
Yeah.
numbers
Well,
were
you
the
can say
exact
that-
same number. And I was like, I'm out. You're just messing with me at
We
this
can
point.
say the same syllable, but depending on the tonal
Yeah.
inflection, it can be something totally different.
Which is
so, yeah.
not something at least I'm not trained
Yeah.
to really pick up on. So I'm like, this isn't going to work. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Wrap?
Wrap? That was a horrible clap. All right, now the last one.
Well, I
This
got to
is-
do the outro, dog.
We have to do the outro.
Outro first, Chad.
What? Oh yeah,
Which
I
I
don't know
was
if
thinking
I
about
got
earlier. I forgot the outro again.
yeah. We got the outro last time.
Yeah, but it kind of made it up on the fly. So we took a break for a bit, and then I forgot everything.
Yeah, we're kind of getting back into it, and I'm coming back from vacation, and yeah.
And now I'm going to disappear again. Thank you for tuning in for another week of This Week in ZA. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the episode. Leave a comment down below if you have a different definition of innovation, or if you've innovated something recently that you want to share with all the rest of the audience. Leave a recommendation for the next pizza. We're getting close to the end of Ramos, so if you know good places around Lincoln and you feel like we should go there next, shout out. Big thank you to Russ, our cameraman, making us look good and sound good.
Or look as good as we can.
Yeah, me. I don't know about Chad. Leave a comment below if you think Chad looked better before. We know the answer is no. And tune in next week.
Have you tried the new Pizzomatic? The automated ATM pizza machine?
What?
No, have you?
Whoa,
I don't know anybody who has yet.
hold up, don't,
I know this
no,
one.
don't,
Don't stop running.
no.
Don't stop. Oh, this will be the question?
This is.
Content.
Whoa.
Whoa, magic.
All right, you. Just
Am I
a few
looking
minutes.
here?
Yeah, look there.
Yeah, speaking of pizza and innovation.
Speaking of pizza and innovation, continue what you just started a few seconds ago.
I asked the question, have you heard of Pizzomatic?
I had not.
This is, and I have not tried it yet. I did drive by there yesterday to see if it was open and working. Apparently the pizza was out, but it is a pizza vending machine in an old ATM. It's on 47th Street in O, right around there. And apparently you can order your pizza and it bakes it and kicks it out, and pizza anytime 24/7. So I don't get sponsored for that, but I'd like to try the pizza at one point.
Oh, I feel like I've heard of something like this, but how long has it been in Lincoln?
I think it's just opened maybe in May.
Okay.
So
And that can't be the only one.
I think it is.
Oh, so
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a local guy that did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to have them all in, actually.
Actually, that's a great idea. Yeah.
I'm going to find this person.
There was an
Journal Star, I
article
think,
in
did it.
Journal Star, and I've been thinking about it for a while, but I hadn't seen an official announcement. And I drove by there yesterday and it said pizza was out, but
Must be popular.
I don't know.
Yes, I think the crust is par baked, but it finishes there, and then they have to load up all the ingredients, and so when they're out of their crust, and then that's it.
Yeah, you'd want the pizza par baked. She's like, you just something solid to work with. You couldn't work with dough very easily.
How big is this thing?
It's kind of like an ATM booth, like when you
Red box.
Yeah, like a red box. It's
Bigger
bigger than a
red
red
box,
box,
that's
but
Okay.
yeah, there's a big screen on it that apparently was touch screen. I didn't use it, but
We need this.
you should go over there today just to check it out. 47th and
We're going to track this guy down.
I mean, if they put one of those outside here, like outside the
I know.
people would definitely
down here especially. I mean, they were trying to get a pizza shop in here to begin with.
True.
We need a pizza shop in this area, and we don't have
Buddha
it.
Burger's gone. Opportunity.
I heard some sandwich shops coming in there,
Sandwich shop's fine too.
but pizza would be.
Pizza would be better.
To
Hence.
make us custom pizzas for the episodes.
Oh, I'm talking to this guy. We will. Maybe he can be our first sponsor.
True.
Anyway.